Hi, this is G-Mac for the Razor Company and welcome to another shave. Today's focus will be on Gentleman's Nod Kensei. Stick with me. When it comes to shaving soaps, most of us wet shavers are spoiled for choice. And a while back when I was using Gentleman's Nod, it just struck me that while some, soap artisans or shaving soap artisans, they craft soaps that are either lanolin friendly or not. So those who have a lanolin allergy can't use them, and those who don't have a lanolin allergy can use them. So Zingari Man did away with lanolin a while back, or I don't know whether Heather ever used lanolin, but all her soaps are lanolin free. Barrister and Man used to have it in the Soft Heart and the Excelsior base, but then from the Reserve, the Omnibus, lanolin free, and everybody can use it. It's kind of universal in that way. There are some soaps like Sterling, of course, that still have lanolin, and there are shavers that love the fact that lanolin is in there for that post-shave feel, that silkiness, that, kind of glow. Vegan soaps like, Hendrix Classics and Company, Phoenix Artisan Accoutrements, and many others, even the Goodfellas Smile, some of their soaps which use the vegan formula, they do not use lanolin in their soaps. So Gentleman's Nod struck a chord with me with the fact that they had two different bases, the Lux Base and the C4 base, and both available at the same time for a certain soap. Now that could be with Musashi or Kensei, and those are part of the Japanese series. Both of them have one common thread. They're very fresh, a little bit citrusy. So let me talk to you a little bit about Kensei, and that's the reason I wanted to pull out this soap today. It's I've got a sample of it, and I've always said this. That was for the camera. So I always said this, that samples really lead you or kind of motivate you, because once you use them, you know how they perform, and then you can actually go out and get yourself a full tub rather than buy a full tub and then be stuck with like about 20 or 30 tubs and you won't know what to do with them, and then you want to either piff them, or you want to sell them or trade them, and it becomes a bit of a hassle with that because not everyone might like your choice of soap. So Kensei, to look at it inside, is very much it's more like a cream than a crope, I'm going to say, because it's extremely soft. I would say you got to scoop it out and either apply it on your face and face lather, or go with bowl lathering process, and that's what I'm doing today. That's what I do every time, actually. So let's look at the bases. So if you go with the Lux base, it's got shea butter, it's got kokum butter, it's got castor oil, palm oil, emu oil, moringa seed oil, which, if you're familiar with the drumstick, which is very popular in Asia as a vegetable, especially in South Asia. It also has, hydrolyzed silk, shea butter, Tusa silk, and, aloe juice. It's got a whole lot of ingredients in there, but it has lanolin. Now let's take a look at this one. This is the C4 base, and that is the one that I ordered, because, I've tried this soap, so I wanted to order it in the C4 base. But having said that, there is a Lux base available at the Razor Company right now in Kensei. So after I get through the shave, if you're convinced enough, go to TRC, go to the website and pick it up. The Lux base works beautifully for a lot of shavers. Since I use the C4 base, I just picked the C4 base up. So the C4 base has tallow, shea butter, castor oil, babasu seed oil, safflower seed oil, coconut milk, slippery elm extract, which is also there in the Lux base. That's the slippery elm extract. Yogurt, kupuaku butter, aloe vera juice, Tusa silk, silk amino acids, and goat's milk. A lot of the ingredients are similar, but yet different. And there's a reason for that. So let's get down to shaving with Kensei. Let's talk about the fragrance of this. The opening is very citrusy. I can't define it, but it's said to have blood orange and yuzu, and believe you me, it's right there in the opening. A little bit of mandarin and that nashi pear which is the Japanese, fruit, a variety of fruit. A bit of neroli, definitely. I get a faint hint of pepper, but it's very, very faint. Saffron, cedar. It's supposed to have vetiver, but I can't really pick it out. And it's also supposed to have fir balsam, which of course is there. It kind of rounds off the fragrance. But there's one thing unique about this soap. And I could get that tea fragrance, and I had to go and find out what it was. And it's a kind of smoky-ish tea, and that's Lapchang Suchong, which is the tea that is prepared by putting it, if I'm not mistaken, it is prepared with kind of burnt wood or smoking wood, and the tea, that kind of smokiness is imparted to the tea leaves, and that's how it gets the flavors. So it's kind of a smoky kind of black tea. If you like, let me put it this way, if you like single malts that are, I don't know how to put them, single malts like probably Lagavulin, Lafroig, those smoky single malts, you're gonna love this. Even Macallan to a certain extent. You're gonna love Lapchang Suchong tea, not the soap. So they're very similar in the kind of flavor that they have. Let me get straight down to shaving, and enough of talk about beverages. I'm going with a very different brush today. I've used it once or twice before, and I always say when I use this brush, I always introduce it saying, "Say hello to my little friend." And that's exactly what it is. I love this brush. This is the Nebula, if I'm not mistaken, by Beard and Blade. Absolutely stunning handle. It's done by an Australian company. Was started by two friends. They do have, of course, a retail business going on, but they're two friends who really, when they were very young, decided to start a small little shaving shop in Australia, and it grew, and now they have their own products. This is made in the Isle of Man. It's a 28mm knot. It's called the Chubby, and if I'm not mistaken, it's probably made by Volfix. I'm not certain about that, but it's got the Simpsons Volfix kind of look to it. But I love this handle. For the blade, Wizamet Super Iridium, my number one blade, my go-to blade. There it is. I've actually got one loaded into the razor. The aftershave for today is going to be Proraso Green, because I wanted something fresh to go with the soap. I gave my aftershave sample of the soap away to a friend, so I don't have one now. And the Hendrix Classics and Company Lather Bowl. I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story about this, and when I said I'm going to be revisiting the Muhle Rocca. So this is the Muhle Rocca. It's an absolutely beautiful razor. We'll talk about it as we get through the shave and why there's a story to tell. But first, let's get down to bowl lathering and start off with the shave itself. Are you a fan of Gentleman's Nod soaps? There's so many of them. There's Jackie, there's Vincent, there's George. And all of them have a story, actually. There's a bit of a story to all of them. So, let me know what you think about Gentleman's Nod. I absolutely love the way the soaps perform, because they're always a low structure base. And just to show you, got a lather going rather quickly. Just going to add a few drops of water. That smoky tea, a light note of the smoky tea along with that pear, that nashi pear really comes through. So it's a fantastic fragrance. If you're somebody that likes, those citrusy, grassy, fresh fragrances, even fragrances that are green, you are going to trip on this. Absolutely beautiful fragrance. Very, very unique. I think we got a good lather going. As you can see, those peaks always tell a story. And let's get down to lathering up with this. So this is the C4 base once again. If you have no problem with ingredients, go with the Lux Base. It's an absolutely stunning base to use as well. Because I've used the Lux Base in Musashi, but I have not used it in Kensei, and that's the reason why in Kensei I just went ahead with what I had used. But I don't think these soaps don't last for very long, so you'd want to hurry to razor company website and probably pick it up. And I'm going to say this once again, absolutely stunning fragrance on this soap. One of the lads from Beard and Blade that makes these brushes. Actually, to be fair and to be honest, this was a gift from Ben, one of the lads who makes it, and who owns the company. And shout out to Ben, because while many of us shavers globally do not have the opportunity. I mean, TRC makes it so easy for all of us to get stuff worldwide, but there are some retailers and vendors that will not ship, internationally, and that becomes very difficult then to get really good products. But I think what Ben and his mates started with, Beard and Blade in Australia, was they started, at least they gave shavers an option to pick up quality soaps, quality products, and then they started their own line, which is really, really amazing. So they have their own grooming products, their own hairstyling products, anything and everything to do with grooming for men. So hats off to them. And Ben, if you're watching this, and just a shout out, buddy. I love this brush. I love everything about it, including that logo. Let me just try and clean that up for you. Absolutely funky on it, and I do love this handle very much. It's a great gift and I absolutely love it. I don't get too many gifts, to be honest. When I do get them, I do cherish them. And the good thing about this little brush is that no matter how much you beat it up, it just springs back into shape. So I think we've got a good lather going there. It's a very, very nice, silky kind of lather, if you notice. And this is what I love about Gentleman's Nod. I think their soaps fly under the radar very often. And the notes that I was talking about, especially the fruity notes, it's that exotic fruity note. It's not that sweet kind of fruity note. So it really, really does stand out. Very, very nice. And while I keep saying this all the time, and I do sound like a broken record often, but don't just go by fragrances. Don't just go by fragrances. Fragrances are fine. You'll get a good fragrance in almost every single eau de parfum, eau de toilette, eau de cologne. How often do you get a good perfume and a terrific performing soap? Cushion, protection, and slickness. Let's put this to the test. I've used Gentleman's Nod before, so I know they really perform well. Let's start with the Muhle Rocca R94. Absolutely beautiful razor. And I'm going to tell you my story about the Rocca. So this is really an old friend. And there are some things in your life that no matter what you do, they never let you go. They stay with you. So I'm originally a Muhle R89 fan, and I'll make no bones about that. I have a huge soft corner for that razor. I always will. It was the razor that got me to fall in love with de-shaving. One of the things you must remember about the Rocca, besides that 0.80 blade gap, is the fact that it has no lather clearing channels, as you can see. So the lather clearance actually is from the sides, and if you run it under tap, it just kind of pops out from here, a little bit like the Lambda Athena. I think Rocknell has a design that's quite similar to that as well. I'm not the biggest fan of them, but this one rinses very easy. You just got to make sure you don't use a really thick pasty lather, and then you're good to go. And this lather is kind of silken. So the Rocca, after I kind of termed the R89 as my favorite razor, I went ahead and bought. I couldn't afford it at that point of time because I really did not have the finances, and I'm going to be honest about it. So I wrote into Muhle, this was more than a year and a half back, and I said, I've seen that a couple of companies or one or two vendors do sell just the head of the Rocca, and can I get it? And they were like, Of course. It was really kind of them. So they sent me the head, and it cost me a lot less than actually buying the razor. Almost half the cost, because these handles are really not that cheap, if you ask me. Especially the one with the wood handle, or even for that matter, I think the black handle is probably slightly cheaper. And then when I got the razor, I started using it, and I figured that I found the R89 a lot more comfortable. And although I had a lot of friends who were big fans of the Rocca and swore about it being the best razor in the world, I somehow never got on with it. I used it for a couple of shaves and then moved it on. I wasn't getting great shaves from it, so found it not efficient enough. Sometimes it needed a tad bit of pressure. So I moved it on, and then just a few months later, I saw the full razor for sale, the R94. And I said, let me get that. It was a decent price, so it wasn't going to break the bank. And I thought it would just work well for me. So picked it up, used it for a couple of shaves. And then the lad who sold it to me had seller's remorse. How often does that happen to you? So, I had 6 shaves with it, gave it back to him. He refunded me my money, which was okay with me. He wanted it back so badly, he felt bad about selling it. And then I got a third Rocca. Now this time it was the R94, the stainless steel, just like this. And I got it at a decent price, picked it up. The lad who owned it really did not enjoy shaving with it, so that was alright. I also realized that this was version 4, because the Rocca was out in a couple of different versions. And this was the latest improvement, just like the R41. If you're using the current R41, it's probably 3rd generation, because there was 2011, 2013, and then there was 2019 onwards. So I just love this soap. The beauty of the C4 base is the lather just doesn't dissipate or break down. You can just leave it lying there for a long time. And I bloomed the soap for 2 minutes in warm water. You don't really need to, because it's so soft. And this soap just mixes so easily. What did it take me, like about 1.5 or 2 minutes to get a really good lather? Absolutely lovely soap. Beautiful performance. You got those peaks. You can tell the quality of the soap by that. And that unique, refreshing fragrance. Oh, it's so nice. I would love to get the eau de toilette. If I'm not mistaken, it's been reviewed on Fragrantica or one of those sites. Love this brush. Love the soap. And I actually love the razor. So let me tell you about getting back to that good old story about the Muhle Rocca. So the third time I saw it, I picked it up. I used it, and I decided this time it was going to stay with me. And I realized my fault. The Rocca works with a bit of an angle. Lose that angle, it becomes a rough shave. Keep that angle, it's a very smooth shave. Is it a razor that's highly efficient? Not on the first pass, not for me. But it picks up against the grain. It's an absolutely fantastic razor to use. But then again, I lost the razor once more. So my third Muhle Rocca, a friend of mine had come by. He was crazy about the razor, asked me to use it for a few days. Took it, practically never came back because he loved it so much. So, second pass with the Rocca R94, and hopefully this one's gonna stay with me. So by the time I had my third Rocca, I had figured out, besides the angle, there was one more thing. People talk of the Rocca as being aggressive. Actually, it's not. It's about, 0.8 blade gap. It's pretty much an autopilot razor, once you get used to it. If you're a beginner, I would say it's not a threatening razor. You just got to figure it out. How do you figure it out? The real key to it is blade choice. I worked with the Edwin Jagger 316, which is a totally different razor, although for some reason people just keep comparing it because they were the only two stainless steel razors released from both the companies, Edwin Jagger and Muhle, and because there was the D89 and the R89 similarity, but actually the 316 is very different. So, my friend took my third Rocca, said he wanted it. He was really desperate. He said it was his grail razor, and I said that's all right. So he traded me one of his razors, which was fair enough. And at that point of time, I reached out to a very close buddy of mine, Guido, in Netherlands, and I asked him, because this is his favorite razor, and he said, Glenn, if you've got the Rocca again, just pick it up, you're going to love it. And he was right. So if you get a Muhle Rocca, first thing you remember, look at that. It's an absolutely stunning shaver. The first thing you remember is light touch, because this thing works beautifully. Remember that angle. It's not a steep shaver, it's not a shallow shaver. It isn't. It falls right in between. So if you look at that, the point of contact of the blade is around here. And that's going to work best for you. So anything shallow, and it won't really cut. If you go too steep, it gets a bit rough. But it is, as I said, it's a stunning shaver to use. So my fourth Rocca, and the secret to this is never ever go with a blade on too many uses. Unlike the Edwin Jagger, which does not require a super sharp blade, and it can be fairly aggressive when you do that, the Muhle Rocca with its neutral blade exposure, or you need a good sharp blade. And I would go with my choice of blade for this is the Wizamet Super Iridium. Smooth, sharp, always works like a charm. I mean, you want to go with the 7 o'clock yellows. You could probably do that. That's really, left up to you. But I would say Gillette 7 o'clock blacks, the Super Platinums. Wizamet Super Iridium. I would say even the Gillette Platinums, they'll work like a charm. For me, the Wizamet works best in the Rocca on the first or second use. Third use probably, and then after that, of course, I don't use Wizamets more than 2.5 or 3 times. So all the other shavers who do, like 5 uses, 8 uses, 10 uses of a blade, I really don't know how they do it, but it just doesn't work for me. I'm really a 2-pass shaver and probably a twice or maximum thrice blade user. So that's it for the shave. Absolutely smooth, very, very enjoyable. I've learned you need to spend time with the Muhle Rocca. You need to figure out the blade choice for it. You can even go probably with a Gillette Platinum or a Wilkinson Sword made in Germany, and it'll work very well for you. So that soap was a stunning soap. And what is it that really makes a shave besides the blade and the razor and your prep? The soap. Very nice residual slickness. It's not that kind of slippery, but it's smooth. I can feel my skin. The skin feels really, really good. When that happens, you know the quality of the soap and the ingredients that have gone into it. That goat's milk along with the tallow, the yogurt, the kupuaku butter, slippery elm extract. Oh, it's fantastic. I'm going to say this. If you want to experience an entirely different kind of fragrance, go with Kensei. Go with Kensei. It's beautiful. If you want to experience top tier performance in a soap, and I'm talking Zingari Man, Barrister and Man, Elysian soaps, you know, Holy Core, all these big boys, big girls as well. But yeah, quality soaps. Gentleman's Nod right there. Superb soap. Just gonna do a quick cleanup. I thought I did wet the towel. Looks like I did not. You ever want to check residual slickness on a soap? The moment you finish your shave, just wipe your face off with a towel. Use a damp towel to rub over and clear things up. And then give your cheeks a run over, and that's when you realize the slickness of the soap. Beautiful. Highly recommended. Gentleman's Nod. Go to the Razor Company website. They probably have 2 or 3 tubs of Kensei left. Pick it up if you get it. It really smells divine. So just going to run through the gear again. The Muhle Rocca R94. Absolutely stunning, super smooth, really efficient razor. I had a very good shave with it today. My skin feels really good thanks to the soap, which was, well, Kensei. This is the C4 base. Wizamet Super Iridium blade. Hendrix Classics and Company. Stainless steel lather bowl. And of course, the Beard and Blade Nebula, well, chubby brush. Absolutely beautiful little brush. I totally love it. I'm going to go with the aftershave. So, trusty old Proraso green, eucalyptus, menthol, a little bit of camphor in there. I love it. I love it. I love this. I love green bracer. I love all these green old school aftershaves. But the Proraso green is always such a trusty performer. And beautiful, minty, fresh fragrance. Oh, just love it. So that's it for the shave today. I do hope that you go and try our Gentleman's Nod products. They really are top notch. If you haven't got yourself Muhle Rocca, I would suggest you go and get yourself one. It really is a beautiful razor, premium razor, and you know, it often flies under the radar with all the other razors coming out nowadays, but stunning. I totally love it. So that's it from me, GMAC, for today. Time for me to shut shop and ship out of here. And on behalf of the Razor Company to say bye-bye for now and happy shaves as always, my friend.